Welcome to This Week from Blue Mountain Broadcasting. Thanks for tuning into the show today. I'm your host, Lynelle Ellis, and we are going to be having a great interview coming up in a few minutes, talking with Kol Medina, the president and CEO of the Blue Mountain Community Foundation. And of course, he's going to be sharing with us about the Valley Giving Guide, but a lot more too. You'll want to stay tuned for that interview. And also, got important things to share with you during the station news segment of the program. Updates that you definitely will want to hear. So I look forward to having you stay by through the whole episode to see that as well. Let's begin now with our devotional thought. And as you know, over these last few weeks, I've been sharing with you some devotionals that are related to Advent, because here we are in the Advent season as we are in the Christmas time of year. And I have been looking at devotionals at crosswalk.com and reading through lots of them actually, and then sharing some of those with you here as we meet together. And the one that I'd like to share today was written by Alicia Bruxvoort. And this particular devotional is called How to Find Hope on a Long Silent Night. And she writes in a very personal style. So as I'm sharing it with you, you have to imagine that Alicia is sharing with you and talking with you here. She bases her devotional on Luke 2, 8 and 9, the first part of verse 9, which says this: "That night there were shepherds staying in the fields nearby, guarding their flocks of sheep. Suddenly an angel of the Lord appeared among them, and the radiance of the Lord's glory surrounded them." And here's what Alicia has to share. "I sit alone near the window at the end of a long December day, my weary frame wrapped in a wordless sigh and a plush red blanket. The wintry woods beyond the glass are as quiet as my children who sleep down the hall. Moonbeams mingle with the twinkling lights of our Christmas tree, and starlight waltzes with the shadows on the floor. I take a deep breath and seek solace in the silence. But my heart refuses to rest in the hallowed hush. For years, when my wee ones filled the nights with wails, I dreamed of a quiet like this. But what I didn't know then, when my midnight hours thrummed to the rhythm of sniffling sighs and colicky cries, is that children aren't the only ones who can fill the night with clamor. Sometimes the quiet quakes noisy, too. Doubts drowned out by the drone of the day can resurrect with a ruckus in the lull of night. Fear can run wild when our feet finally slow. And worry can howl reckless in the hush. It's in the quiet where we often come face to face with our questions. Do I really believe that God is good? Does He truly see my needs and hear my prayers? Do I trust Him enough to obey when it doesn't make sense? Will His promises hold firm even if my hope falls short? It's in the quiet where we learn to fight for faith. So I shift my eyes from that twinkling tree to the Bible in my lap, and I read aloud from those treasured pages. That night, there were shepherds staying in the fields nearby, guarding their flocks of sheep. Suddenly an angel of the Lord appeared among them, and the radiance of the Lord's glory surrounded them. They were terrified. But the angel reassured them. "Don't be afraid," he said. "I bring you good news that will bring great joy to all people. The Savior, yes, the Messiah, the Lord, has been born today in Bethlehem, the city of David. And you will recognize Him by this sign. You will find a baby wrapped snugly in strips of cloth, lying in a manger." Luke 2, 8 through 12. God's word dangles in the air like the velvet stockings hanging hopeful on my mantle. I close my eyes and try to listen to the truth of the Scripture rather than the squall of my own soul. I imagine the hope of heaven landing on the dust of earth, the squeals of fright and the blaze of light, the angel's declaration and the shepherd's consternation. And I ask Jesus to show me something new in this familiar account of the very first Christmas. Then all at once, I see it through a haze of grateful tears. The message the angels proclaimed on that Bethlehem hillside long ago didn't just change the course of one bygone silent night. The good news of great joy changed the course of every silent night to come. Because we don't have a God who merely pierces our darkness. We have a Savior who lingers beside us on our long, silent nights. The prophets foretold it. The angel repeated it. And his name confirms it. God is with us. And in his presence, we can find everything we need when the quiet quakes noisy. And here's a prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you for sticking with me whether I'm full of hope or full of fear. I'm glad my doubts don't diminish your love and my qualms don't offend your faithfulness. Teach me how to rest in your presence when my heart is unsettled. I want to trust you more. In Jesus' name, amen. And a couple of reflective questions. What is stretching your faith right now? How can you invite Jesus into your struggle and draw strength from his presence? Turn a silent night into a gift this week. Light a candle, listen to worship music, read your Bible. Write Jesus a love letter. Fill the quiet with prayer and praise. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Joining me now is Kol Medina from the Blue Mountain Community Foundation, President and CEO.
That's right. Thanks for having me here, Lynelle.
It's a fantastic organization, and really we're welcoming you back to the show because we talked last year as well. But for those who maybe aren't as familiar with Blue Mountain Community Foundation, maybe before we get into talking about the Valley Giving Guide, which we really want to talk about today, you could give us a bit of an overview about the organization itself.
Yeah, sure. I am always happy to talk about the Community Foundation. Blue Mountain Community Foundation has been around for 38 years, so in a couple of years it'll be our 40th anniversary. There are lots of ways to talk about Community Foundation. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, just like all the other nonprofits out there, but we have a very unique mission. Our mission is really to be a charitable bank. We operate as a bank for our community where people set up different funds. You can think of them as accounts, but people set them up and we manage that money for perpetuity to benefit our community. The big difference between the charitable bank and, say, a regular bank is when you put the money in the charitable bank, you can't have it back. Because when you put it in there, you get your tax deduction, and then we're going to manage it the way people want us to manage it. When you set up your fund, you tell us how you want us to manage it. And then we'll use it to make grants to nonprofits you want to make grants to, or scholarships to kids in the community, or for other purposes. But it has to be a nonprofit purpose. Mm-hmm. So right now, we managed about $60 million worth of assets. Last year, our last fiscal year, we distributed about $8 million out into the community. Nearly $1 million of that was scholarships. So we're the largest scholarship provider in the area. And it's wonderful, wonderful work.
I can see that it completely would be, because you can feel good every day when you go to work that you're really making a difference.
Yeah, I keep reminding myself that, some days you're just in there slogging through, but you got to remember the big picture, like we are really accomplishing good for the community here.
Well, for sure, whenever I hear Blue Mountain Community Foundation around, it's always in the context of something great happening.
Great.
Because it means that the foundation is contributing to some project or other, or fulfilling a grant, or whatever, the scholarships, something that people on the other end are saying, wow, this is so helpful, this is great, now we can really move forward.
It's fun. I added up recently how much money the foundation's distributed since it began.
Yes.
And it's just north of $50 million.
Incredible.
So it's $50 million that people have put into this bank and that the bank has distributed out in the community. That's some real impact over the years.
Yeah, so these are people who love our community and want to give back to it.
That's
and
right.
that's why they put their money in.
Yeah, our mission statement actually is to connect people who care with causes that matter to help the community.
Yes.
The main strategy we use to do that is these funds. So this is a way to let people connect through these funds to things they want to support. But it's really these generous people doing it. We're just the conduit.
Yes. So we want to talk specifically today about the Valley Giving Guide, which is one of the initiatives that takes place with the Blue Mountain Community Foundation at the end of the year, right? Starts on Giving Tuesday.
It does.
So that was November 29,
you
is
got
that right?
It.
Yes,
Yeah,
November 29. And goes through the end of the year. Yep. So we've got a little bit of time left. Tell us about the Valley Giving Guide, how that works.
Yeah, it's very similar to what I just described in some ways, and very different in other ways. Most of that $60 million we manage is in endowment funds. It's going to be there forever. We manage it, it's invested in the market, and every year we take some piece of it and grant it out. Valley Giving Guide is not about endowment, it's not about forever, it is just pass through right now. So for a month and a couple days, while the Valley Giving Guide is open, people can go to the website, valleygivingguide.org, and donate to whatever nonprofits they want who are on that list. There are 165 different nonprofits on the list this year. Last year there were 130. Because it was so successful last year, more nonprofits are taking part.
Yes.
People can look at the list of 165 and they can donate as much as they want to as many as they want and just check out in one transaction. It's like going to Amazon.
Yes.
It's going to Amazon to give money to your favorite nonprofits. And all that money doesn't stay at the foundation, though. We take it in January and we just send it out to all the nonprofits that people specified for their money. But before we send it, the key piece of it is we add money to it.
Yeah, and that's the really cool piece. That's why people would be motivated, rather than giving directly to the various organizations in our community, to give it through the Valley Giving Guide.
That's right. Yeah, we call it the bonus pool. It's a matching fund. There are a bunch of generous sponsors in the community who this year donated about $325,000 into this bonus pool. We use a bit of that money to pay for marketing for the event, to cover the credit card fees and stuff like that.
Yes.
Most of that money, though, becomes a bonus that we add to every donation that everybody makes. Last year, that ended up being a 10% bonus. So if someone donated $100 to their favorite nonprofit, that nonprofit got $110.
Yes.
Because we cover all the fees, so all the money that people donate goes out to the nonprofits, plus extra.
That's really great. Now, do you know this year what the percentage will be? Do you have an idea?
We won't know until the end, because we know how much is in the pool that we have available to add as a bonus, but we don't know how much people are going to donate. So the higher the amount that people donate goes, the lower the percent comes, because this is fixed.
Yes.
So we don't know what that number will be. We hope
but we know it'll be more than whatever we originally gave when we went there.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really the like gas that makes this engine work really well. And some people say, well, why do you care? Why do you do this? Why would it be that people? What are you accomplishing if people are just taking money they were going to give anyway, and instead of giving it directly, they give it through this event? The answer is the event actually grows philanthropy. So we poll people, we survey people who donate, and we ask them to take the survey. Many of them do. And one of the questions we ask is, hey, did you donate more money through this event than you were going to give to the nonprofits anyway? And last year, 70 or 80% of the people who took that survey said they donated extra money to the nonprofits because the event was just fun and they enjoyed it and they got this bonus.
Yes.
So it inspired people to donate more, which is why we do the event. We're trying to grow philanthropy.
I think it's really true. It's motivational knowing that there's going to be some bonus added to what you give. It really is. It's more exciting, and you're right, it is just fun. It is just fun to go to the website, and so kudos to those who designed it and laid it out and made it work really well, because it does. When you go there, it's really easy to
Good.
find your organizations. It's really easy to give. It's so user-friendly, and you feel good about doing it. So it's just really great.
It's
Great
all a
experience.
win-win-win for everybody.
It is all the way around.
Yeah.
And all our viewers who watch this show regularly know that we've been saying that little phrase, Valley Giving Guide, a lot around here at
Okay.
Blue Mountain Television.
Good.
Because we're one of those organizations
Right.
that's on the list.
Well, if you're watching this show, you should go to valleygivingguide.org and donate to Blue Mountain Television.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We need it, that's for sure. We're not only dealing with our regular operational issues that we, always are operational costs, and a move to a facility we purchased a couple years back. Also, we now have a little emergent situation with some water leaking in our old place where we're renting, as we're trying to get moved to the one we own,
Yep.
and some water leaking on equipment. So yeah, it's a really, really important time.
I didn't read your
to
page.
give.
So as you know, every nonprofit that takes part has a page on the Valley Giving Guide website where they talk about what they're going to do with
Yes.
the money. This is what Blue Mountain Television is going to do with any donations?
Yes, so I'm not sure that the water thing, I don't think the water
Is on
problem
there.
is on there, because that came up after we submitted everything. So that makes some things a little more urgent.
Well, this is your chance to tell people how much you need.
We need 213,000
Wow.
to get everything out of the leaking area.
Wow, this is
Yeah.
just because of the water leak? Not everything else you mentioned?
Well, this is to get it moved to the newer facility that we own rather than
Yes.
where we rent.
Yes.
So there were going to be costs with that whether or not the water leaked.
Right.
But now it's urgent because it's got to get out of there.
Yeah, well, the
So-
timing's good. It's good you're moving.
It's good we're moving. Well, we thought of that. We're like, well, that was providential that we have somewhere to move it to.
Yeah.
So there are some really great things about our community. We've been talking a lot about philanthropy and giving in the Valley Giving Guide. What makes this community special in that way?
So I've been in this job 2 years now. December 1st was my 2-year anniversary of being in this position. I was running a different community foundation before on the west side of the state in Kitsap County. I spent the best part of my childhood in Walla Walla, so this was a chance for me when Carrie retired from Blue Mountain for me to come home and run my hometown community foundation. And since I've been here for these 2 years, I've been thinking about this, because there is a deep spirit of giving in this community. And this event shows it. Last year, the Valley Giving Guide raised $2.8 million
Yes.
for 130 nonprofits. There's an event in Kitsap County that I helped organize called the Kitsap Great Give. Only goes for a day, but that event had 330 nonprofits in it and a population of 280,000 people, much, much more than we have here. And in a typical year, it'd raise about 1.6 million.
Wow.
So this event does much
This
better
is different.
for fewer nonprofits. Why is that?
And a much smaller population.
And a much smaller population. I don't have the answer, but I see it everywhere, that people are more generous here, and there are a lot of nonprofits here doing a lot of great work. I think maybe part of it is that sense of we're kind of out here on the frontier and kind of
Yes.
the rural environment, and we have to take care of each other.
Yes.
I think there's just more of that here than at least where I was before. I don't know. What do you think?
I think you nailed it. And this is an overused word, I admit now, but this sense of community is pretty powerful here.
Yeah.
It's important. I think you named some reasons why we feel that it's important.
Yeah.
We're pretty bonded with each other and take ownership of our community. I think that's maybe an important word, rather than just, well, I just live here and somebody else will take care of it.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of have this feeling like this is our place and we better take care of it.
Yeah, I agree. And a piece of that, or maybe part of what leads to that, is what I'm about to say is going to make me sound like a new guy here, because I guess I kind of am, but the deep sense of history and the multi-generational families that have been here for 5 generations and take such pride in that.
Yes.
And that is part of the culture here that just doesn't exist where I was before and in many places, I think. And I think that creates a stronger sense of community as well. It's not just that the community is very generous. The community, it's what you're saying, the community wants to take care of itself.
Yeah. It's really cool. So just in the last moment we have here, share with our viewers how they can connect to the Valley Giving Guide. Where do they go?
Sure. It's pretty simple. Just go to valleygivingguide.org. That's it. There's a mobile version of it. There's a web-based version. Just go there and you'll see the homepage, and you can start checking out nonprofits and donating.
Very good. Thank you so much, Cole. Really appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me.
And stay tuned. I'll be right back with some important station news. Welcome back. It's time for station news. The first thing that I need to talk with you about, we mentioned briefly in the interview, and that is that we have an urgent need here at Blue Mountain Broadcasting. That is, the facility where we've been renting at Sunbridge has water leaking in where our equipment is housed. And we, of course, have bought a facility, the Wallula facility, and we are in the process of moving there. We can get all the people and the desks and those sorts of things moved, but to move the equipment is another matter. It's very technically intensive, and it is an expensive thing to be able to move the equipment and make some of the updates and make sure that we have the redundancies that we need in order to be over at the new place. And so to do this is costing $213,000. And while this has been part of our fundraising and part of our fundraising to move over to the Wallula facility with all of our broadcast equipment and master control and those sorts of things, we now need to do it much more urgently than before due to these water leaks. And we've shown you pictures of that here on the show before and talked about it last week on the show extensively, but I just want to remind you that we are urgently needing to raise this $213,000 so that we can get that equipment to a safe place at the new facility. So thank you for paying attention to that urgent need and giving something extra on behalf of this request and praying about what you might do to help us get our equipment to safety. Right now we have some plastic laid over the equipment in the old rental facility, and that's not a good permanent solution. Definitely need to get it where it's safe. It's not going to be in a damp environment. It's really important for this equipment to be properly humidity controlled and to be the right temperature. So again, it really needs to happen. Enough about that. Let's talk about the things you are really excited about and care about, and that's what are you going to watch on Blue Mountain Television? What great shows are coming your way? Well, it's almost Christmas as you are watching this, and so we've got some Christmas programs I've got to tell you about. December 24 and December 25. So this is Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, A World of Christmas, the Village Church Christmas program. That's going to be seen on December 24 at 3 p.m. and on December 25, Christmas Day at 12 noon. So tune in for those specials. And then Walla Walla University's program, Gifts for a King, always a favorite program here in our community. What a gift to the community they give each year. And this you can see on December 23 at 7 p.m. and December 25, Christmas Day at 5 p.m. So December 23, that's a Friday evening at 7 p.m. and then again on Christmas Day at 5 p.m. And then I need to tell you that the program Oh Holy Night with Castle Valley Academy from State Line had significant technical difficulties in it recording. And so we are really disappointed to share with you that we're not going to be able to bring you that program as we had promised. But we do have something we think you will really enjoy to put in its place, and that is we have a special concert from Fountain View Academy that we're going to be able to air for you instead at those same time slots. So that'll be December 23 at noon, December 24 at 10 p.m., and December 25 at 9 a.m. And then more about programming. We've been telling you that Walla Walla University is producing a show with the Center for Media Ministry and the Center for Humanitarian Engagement called Generosity. And we're going to have the premiere of this show here on Blue Mountain Television with the very first episode on December 26th. That's at 9 p.m. So mark your calendars for December 26th at 9 p.m. Also on December 29 at 5:30 p.m. and 9 p.m. and on December 31 at 8:30 p.m. Now, Generosity is a show that's going to be focusing on the service that's being done by students at Walla Walla University. And you can look forward to some stories related to painting a house that urgently needed to be painted, and to the Blue Mountain Riding, therapeutic riding, and also something that might have a little to do with this organization right here, because those generous students came and helped us with the project as well. So I think you're really, really going to enjoy this show. created by students at Walla Walla University and prepared to share with you here in the community. Remember that, December 26, 9 p.m. And don't you need a little bit more good news as we're sharing station news here together? I love this piece of good news. We have been looking forward to our cable broadcasts being in high definition. Now, the over-the-air broadcast already is, and we've provided the high definition signal to the cable company. Now we've been waiting for them to make the upgrades they need to in order to share it in high definition to you. And we just got the news today, this morning, that both Yakima and the Tri-Cities cable systems are now showing Blue Mountain Broadcasting in high definition. So it's great news. And thank you for your gifts that make all of these kinds of things possible. Speaking of gifts, you will definitely want to go to the Valley Giving Guide, which we've just been talking about as one of the great ways to give a gift to Blue Mountain Television here at the end of the year. Or you can send a gift directly to us. We have a new address. We are now officially have all of our mail going not to the place where we were renting, but at our facility that we own on Wallula Avenue. And here's the address, 1470 Wallula Avenue, Walla Walla, Washington, 99362. So you can send your gift directly to us there if you'd like to as well. Well, once again, I'd like to thank you for watching the show today. Appreciate you giving your time and also your prayers and your gifts. I'll see you next time.